While we weren't recording, we solved racism and we solved gender politics.
Yeah. Which might have something to do with time skipping, which is part of the topic of today's thing.
Oh, good. You've been really on the segues lately.
I know. Welcome to Scary Mystery Surprise,
where we talk about scary things that surprised us around the internet.
I'm Edwin.
I'm Michelle.
In this story, it's about Barney and Betty Hill.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that's what you were going to do today. Because it just was vague of things in the sky. What does that mean? Okay.
It's a bird.
Which can be scary. Some people are scared of birds. Ravens, crows, a murder of crows. Come on.
A murder of crows.
A murder.
But anyway.
All right, tell me everything about Barney and Betty.
All right, Michelle, get in the time machine, okay? Because we're going back to the 60s.
Okay, we're going. I don't know why the time machine sounds like a washing machine, but...
I think that's what it sounds like, yeah. Yeah, last time I was in one.
Okay, well... Okay, we're back in the 60s.
A married couple, Barney and Betty Hill, were vacationing in Niagara Falls, back when it was cool. I've never been there, but I heard that it just took a nosedive, a cliff dive.
Cliff dive. I mean, if I can't see someone go over the waterfall in a barrel, then why am I going?
It was September 19th of 1961, around 10:30 at night, and they were going home. It was Betty who saw it, a bright point of light moving from below the moon and upward to the west side of it. How nice. A falling star. Yeah, amazing. But the thing was that it was getting brighter and moving upward. So Betty turned around to look at Barney and was like, "Yo, pull over." And so they parked the car at this scenic point around Twin Mountain. Bigfoot was on the other side of the country, so obviously you don't have to worry about it when you're there because Bigfoot's more of a West Coast type of thing. Their dog was with them, so they thought about going out into the woods to take a walk and let him pee or poop or whatever. They took out their binoculars. So Barney takes the binoculars and looks at the thing, right? And that light that Betty was obsessing over was an object, perhaps an airplane. But no, this thing was oddly shaped and had multicolored lights. Barney then noticed that the thing was coming closer to them, so they grabbed their dog and walked quickly to their car. But that thing was behind them. It was getting larger, and they could see that it was just bouncing back and forth in the sky without a pattern.
Like a basketball bounce?
I think of it like as in accelerating and slowing down and bouncing like that. That's how I imagine it. But bouncing like a basketball.
Like me driving a stick shift.
When their car was just 1 mile south of Indian Head, the object started floating down toward their car right where they were. Barney had no choice to stop the car, and that's when they saw the thing clearly in front of them, floating about 80 to 100 feet above the hills. Barney stepped out of the car with a pistol in his pocket.
How did he have a gun in his... Well, I guess it's the 60s.
I mean, they're very prepared. I'll give them that.
I guess they were camping, right? In Niagara Falls or whatever?
I don't know if they were camping, but yeah.
We don't know. We just made that up. Good for them having the gun in their car.
He took out the binoculars and spotted 8 to 11 humanoid figures standing around the windows of the aircraft, staring at him.
Oh, shit. Ugh, that's the worst part. Eye contact.
And this is where things start to get weird. When he looked over at them, telepathic messages started. In Barney's account, he saw humanoids approach him and slide down a chute.
Like a slide?
It's just like, whee!
Okay, Barney. Okay, tell us more.
He then received strange mental messages that they were supposed to stay where they were. But then he started hearing more things that said, "You're about to be captured." Like, he caught that message. So he was hysterical by this point. He was like, oh my God. He told Betty, "We need to leave." So he got in the car and just sped off. Like, he was driving, swerving, wasting gas. But it was cheap back then.
So it was fine.
They were driving, like, speeding away, and Betty kept looking up at the sky. Freaking Betty rolls down the window. Like, she just rolls it down to look up. Oh, that's cool. That's really cool. And that's when they both heard buzzing and beeping. And then a tingling sensation through their bodies. Now they couldn't feel their bodies anymore. All they could hear were those beeps, buzzings. Suddenly they were back in the car and about 35 miles south. But they couldn't remember actually driving that far.
Oh, shit.
They just sat there wondering what the heck happened, and they tried to piece everything together. They were just like, "Did you see this? Yeah. Did you see that? Yeah." And then this happened. Anyway, they ended up drawing what they saw as soon as they got home, right when the sun was coming up. They started discovering all these things about them that were different. Like, for example, their watches. Both of the watches stopped working completely. Betty's dress was torn and had pink powder on it. Barney had scraped his dress shoes, which I imagine back then was like, oh, no.
My dress shoes! My precious dress shoes! Get me a cobbler, stat.
Odd magnetic patterns on the trunk of their car, torn leather straps on their binoculars, trouble remembering everything. It was like, what? Now, Barney and Betty were just regular people. Barney he worked for the U.S. Post Office, and Betty was a social worker. So they probably didn't have a motive for making all this stuff up unless they were so bored. Their memories soon started coming back, which I guess could happen, right? But in phases. So for Betty, it happened in her dreams. They were on the road. Now, this is Betty's dream, right? They're on the road. Men surrounded their car. Things were blurry. There's two small men who were forcing her to walk through the forest with Barney close behind her. The men had black hair, big noses, and dark eyes. Blue lips against their gray skin.
That's so weird.
That gave me chills. I gave myself chills right now. Black hair and big noses and dark eyes. Maybe it sounds like a disguise to me.
Those Groucho glasses?
That's what I'm imagining.
So they came down in a slide and they're wearing Groucho They're just aliens, but they're wearing the Groucho glasses so people don't get freaked out.
What's with the blue lips, though?
I mean, that's the weird part. That's the part that they should have maybe concealed better. We get it. The Groucho glasses were supposed to make you more approachable, but you could have covered up your blue lips. That would have also made you more approachable, too.
She remembered being taken to two separate rooms to be examined. They looked at her eyes, her ears, mouth, throat, like a physical. I hate those so... They thrust a needle into her navel.
Ugh! It's the worst thing you've ever said.
Jeez. Sorry about that. But with the wave of a hand, the pain went away.
Ugh. Ugh, it's still not good.
Anyway, she was told that she could take a book with her with strange symbols and stuff. But they got into an argument, like the little people, like the men, got into an argument with each other, and the leader was like, nope, you can't give this book to her.
I imagine them fighting like...
You could tell which was the manager.
In whatever species management, man.
But, out of this part, I'm like, wait, they have a library?
I felt like it was more of a pamphlet they were going to give her.
Oh, okay.
That's just my hunch about this whole thing.
Then they were returned to their car and told to wait until the craft left before they kept driving. But was any of that real?
I don't know.
It was a dream. Barney didn't think so.
Okay.
Barney was just like...
Great,
hey,
invalidate your wife. First step, invalidate your wife. Great marriage they have right now.
He was more like, like, okay, yeah, tell me more. But then, he doesn't really want to talk about it. On September 21st, 2 days after the incident, Betty called the Peace Air Force Base to talk about the encounter and talked to Major Paul W. Henderson. The interview was later reported to the U.S. Air Force's UFO Research Project. She wrote to Donald E. Kehoe, an American aviator with a ton of interesting books, according to Wikipedia. And
Thank God. Thank God he has a ton of interesting books.
they were written in the 50s, and they're all pretty much about flying saucers, except for one that I saw on the list. The letter remember, Betty sent a letter to that one writer, right? The novelist, the flying saucer guy. That same letter made it all the way to Walter Webb, a man from a UFO research group who then met with the couple on October 21st of that same year. Through all of this, though, Barney didn't want to remember stuff, right? So he gave off that thing where, like, he wasn't interested in finding out what happened. Don't really want to talk about it. Not interested.
Super traumatized. Yeah.
Anyway, they were interviewed by other research groups who tore everything down. Like, things that I wouldn't think about. The position of the moon. Because when they were traveling at those times, the moon supposedly had already set. It's not where they were, yeah. So
such a weirdly specific thing that really would invalidate the whole story.
Right? And then also, their trip was supposed to take 4 hours, and it took them 7. Which, time skipping, I don't know.
Yeah, they had a time skip. That's not as legit as where the moon was.
Yeah. I think they call it missing time. Ufologists just call it that. It's common with investigations that have to do with this thing, with UFOs and stuff. They were disturbed by the whole thing, and so they started looking into hypnosis. By the way, I'm referring to Betty and Barney. They were, what's going on? What is this? So after some time, they're like, we're just going to go try hypnosis. We're going to get hypnotized. Have you ever been hypnotized, Michelle?
No, I haven't, but I'm curious about it. I'd try it.
The guy that did the hypnosis thing for them was Benjamin Simon of Boston. And again, this time, Barney was not enjoying it. Like, according to the notes and everything, he was very worried and anxious over the whole thing, but he wouldn't admit it. He was just like, I don't want to, I don't know, but he would get like these like emotional responses to stuff. So anyway, it was January of 1964 when the hypnosis session started, and Barney was hypnotized first. That's where he demonstrated fear and got really emotional. And he explained that the binocular strap broke when he was running back to his car and felt the urge to drive into the forest. But 6 men blocked the dirt road and 3 approached, saying that he shouldn't be afraid of them. Barney said that he was separated from Betty.
But they said that and they had the Groucho glasses on and their blue lips. Don't be afraid of us. Don't be afraid. We won't hurt you.
You say it like that, yeah.
Yeah,
that is creepy though. Remember, this is at night. This is
yeah, it does give me chills for some reason. I don't know why that is giving me chills.
I don't know why they were out there like in the woods by themselves in the dark, like to stop and look at this thing. I don't know. Maybe it was safer back then.
Yeah, I think it's like a different time. Like, I don't think I'd stop in the woods.
Barney said that he was separated from Betty and he was examined, and then he heard an odd language. I think like the one that you said.
Oh, that.
Yeah, that probably. So since he was so scared, he kept his eyes closed for most of it. Like, I would do the same thing probably. If I was really scared, I would just like not look. Betty, when she was hypnotized, she said similar things, right? So anyway, eventually they went back to their regular lives. And although at certain times, researchers would call them up and talk about their experiences and all that. But then, in October of 1965, the Boston Traveler posted a front-page story about them, and bam! They got national attention. So, I got an idea right there, Michelle. Like, we should come up with an alien story.
Should we do a hoax? We could do a crop circle.
You know how to do those things, I think.
Yeah, I know someone we could ask. Let's see, what else could we do? There's so many things. We could record a witch flying through the air or a raccoon holding onto a balloon, which I actually think it is.
I don't know. You know what? If it actually happens, though, and then they find this recording, they're going to be like, no, they planned it out.
Oh, yeah. We'll end up being cursed like Balloon Boy was.
I feel bad for that family.
Poor Balloon Boy.
Anyway, Betty Hill's notes are in the permanent collection at the University of New Hampshire, along with audio tapes. A historical marker is now located in the town of Lincoln in New Hampshire, too. And it says, on the night of September 19th through the 20th, 1961, Portsmouth, New Hampshire couple Betty and Barney Hill experienced a close encounter with an unidentified flying object and 2 hours of lost time while driving south on Route 3 near Lincoln. They filed an official Air Force Project Blue Book report of a brightly lit cigar-shaped craft the next day, but were not public with their story until it was leaked in the Boston Traveler in 1965. This was the first widely reported UFO abduction report in the United States. I'm reading directly from the marker because this is a picture of it right in front of me. That's how we know it's accurate. Anyway, Barney Hill died in 1969, but Betty stuck around with us until 2004 when she passed away, and therefore creating history as one of the first UFO, or the largest known or most well-known UFO encounter in the United States. Pretty cool story. Obviously, there's a bunch of theories about it. There's a bunch of, this can't be real, impossible, you made it up. But then, I don't know. They were in their profiles and stuff for, not Facebook profiles, but like in their Wikipedia profiles. It says that they were civil rights people. Like they were, by the way, I haven't showed you a picture. Do you know what they look like?
Weren't they an interracial couple? Like
yes,
Barney's
darn it.
black?
I want that shock factor.
I knew that. Also, it makes sense that Barney'd be more hesitant to proclaim a crazy story because of that environment in that time. I could see him being more like hesitant.
Yeah. It's weird to think of it in terms of like back then, right? Because times were different, not like now. And I think in the future it's going to be a whole other thing. But like even talking about something like UFOs when no one else has done it like that, even the Boston Traveler publishing a story on that front page or whatever, that's intense.
It's really intense. It's a lot of attention when you just want to live your normal life.
Yep. And you know, with those releases of UFOs, UFO stories and sightings and stuff that were released by the Air Force not too long ago, makes you wonder, is this real? Is this...
I think something happened to him. I don't know what, but something happened. I think it's like Barney's reluctance to talk about it, too, is what kind of makes it more... Like Betty being like, this happened. I'm going to follow my dreams. I want to find out everything. And then Barney being like, I don't want to think about those Groucho glasses and those blue lips ever again. I just want to get back to my normal life.
Feel kind of bad for him. Poor guy. Like, and it happens even today where, yeah, the wife wants to do this and the guy's, okay, let's go. Sounds like a TV show.
Yeah, the wife wants to talk about her alien experience and I don't. It happens all the time in a modern era.
Yeah. Still, it was mentioned somewhere that Betty's sister had seen a flying saucer before, and she thought that maybe that was it, what she had seen right off the bat, right when she was seeing that thing flying in the sky. Plus, I know that she was a fan of that one guy that she wrote to about flying saucers, like that writer.
Oh, interesting.
So that was in her mind already. Now, I'm thinking, if you get hypnotized or if you believe something so badly, like it's so in there, and you know about all this stuff, could you be imagining it? Barney's reluctance, I guess, or like just fear of saying anything, that's what kind of makes it a little bit more like, maybe it is real. Maybe you won't believe the wife who's like a fan of all this stuff, but Barney's not.
But Barney was like, I don't want to talk about this. I don't want to be around white people.
Around gray people either.
Yeah, gray people, blue-lipped people. I just want to go back to the post office. It's 1960 and I don't want to deal with these people. You absolutely do not want to deal with these people.
It's creepy to think about. There's this new episode that came out on Unsolved Mysteries on the Netflix version about lights in the sky. I don't know if that's the actual name for it or if something else, but over the Great Lakes, a bunch of people spotted these lights. And there's some bizarre things. Like, imagine this, right? I don't know if it's 3 people in a car. Watch the story so you really know what it is. But basically, there's people in a car. And you have the driver, this woman, the grandma is on the passenger seat, the person in the back seat passenger, and they start seeing a bunch of lights in the sky, and they're blinding or whatever. Next thing you know, they wake up, and they're somewhere else. And now the grandma's in the driver's seat. But the grandma doesn't drive. She didn't drive.
Oops.
So how is she there?
That's amazing. That's amazing.
Something like that. Yes. I think the story was something like that. And like they messed up. It's like they should have just taken a picture to remember. But
Alien Abduction 101. It is interesting that Betty's sister had seen a UFO and that she knew about it. But like, it does seem to run in families. So it's like if Betty's sister saw something, then she had this experience. And then, I mean, I suspect that your experience is somehow tied to the family
thing. That's true, and I've heard the same for ghosts. If you can see ghosts, your children might be able to see ghosts.
Yeah.
I have this thing that happened to a cousin of mine where he was walking down a street, down this dirt path, and as he's walking over, he starts hearing this windy sound, next thing you know, he's just like, that was weird. You know, he's approaching where he was going to, and the place is empty, right? And he's like, that's weird. Everybody was here just a little while ago. There was music, there were people, there were dogs running around. Now it's empty, right? So he looked at the lock. He's like, why is it locked? I just left. What is this? And then he turned around, just confused. And then he's like, maybe I was at the wrong spot? He hears he feels that weird wavy thing, like a magnet, like polar opposites of magnets, right? Like when you feel that weird force pushing you. Feel it over your head everywhere. All of a sudden, you keep walking. There's no closed chapter, new chapter. It's just continuous, right? It's like you blink and then you just keep going. Like you don't find anything. And then he goes to the place again and there you go. Everybody's there. Doors unlocked, music's on.
Weird.
Yeah. And I've heard of all these things. And again, it goes into just physics theories, stories about how we can time slip because we curve around into the exact same. I saw some fourth dimension videos yesterday, 2 days ago. That is bizarre. Basically, nothing can go in a straight line necessarily. That's not a theory, by the way, but just imagine, nothing can go in a super straight line forever. Let's say it's just angled just a little bit. Eventually, if you let it go for enough time, it's going to curve around to where you are now.
Oh, fascinating.
Because you give it so much time that it just makes a huge loop. What if you could close those? Where it's just a little wider angle and it closes and you get back to where you are now.
Mind blown.
It's this really weird thing.
Mind blown. Look at what I learned. I learned physics today.
But anyway, how is the voting going, by the way, Michelle?
Right now, it looks like Doll is winning. It's about at 50%. I hope your dolls don't have a battle of...
They're going to fight.
They're going to fight. But voting is still open. In second place is photographer music. If you want something other than a doll, you better start voting.
Let's lean toward music, guys. Come on. Just kidding. I'm not trying to influence the election here.
Edwin doesn't want a spiritual war to happen in his house.
I have heard of haunted songs and haunted music. By the way, look up Gloomy Sunday if you're interested in finding this out. Cool. I'm excited and nervous, and I saw that Instagram story with the thing that you put, the background image of the...
Yeah, that was just I just randomly grabbed a front page of the haunted object. That clown was freaking people out.
It's going to take a while, right? We have to get it. We have to talk to it, do the seance.
Oh, what's our budget? You've never told me what our budget is.
Oh, darn it. I don't know. Less than $100. You think that's possible?
Yes, definitely possible. It's 100. I was like, is he going to want to spend $100 on this? If he were like $20, I would have understood as well.
Ideally, I would say 50 would be the ideal thing, but we shouldn't cross 100.
I just wanted my budget limit.
Because it's literally just going to be there. I'm not going to.
We spent $4,000 on this haunted object that now just sits in Edwin's house.
Anywho, what else we got? Oh, man. Anyway, Michelle, I heard that you got an award recently.
Oh, I did. I won a Signal Award for my other podcast, Deep Healing with Greg Barris, which I co-created with my friend Greg Barris, who's a comedian.
Insert applause here. Congrats on that, Michelle.
Thank you. Everyone should go check it out. The episodes are short.
You can binge them.
Yeah, it's not a lot of commitment. But yeah, we won an award.
Deep Healing with Greg Barris.
Yeah, Deep Healing with Greg Barris.
Cool. All right, so what are we going to be talking about next week, by the way?
I don't know, but I think it'll be a surprise.
Yeah. All right.
Bye.
Bye.